Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live.
The Street 919 FM, the #1 election station.
We are inside, and I am testing because we're operating. The board is being operated remotely. So I have no way of knowing if we are live right now. Kyle, if you could send me that message to let me know that I am actually live, so we could start. Sorry about that, everyone. It's the holidays. Okay, we're live, and we will go with that. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to the wider world and all of those who are paying attention to me via the internet and social media. My good friend Stephen Matterson has just joined us right on the buzzer. As I said, we are operating remotely today. Kyle, if you're hearing me, bring in Stephen Matterson on the screen, please, because he's here, and turn on his mic. And yeah. If I sneeze during the show, I have this flu. They have a flu going around, and everybody has it. We're bringing in Mr. Matterson, and as soon as I get him on screen, I'll be giving you a heads up to say your good mornings. I don't know if your mic is live as yet, so we'll wait on that. In the meantime, it is Eid, and I would like to wish the Muslim community Eid Mubarak. I'd like to wish the Shouter Baptists a happy and holy Shouter Baptist. Well, it was yesterday, but the whole weekend. We in Trinidad and Tobago have ended up, all of us, as a melting pot of people, races, cultures, religions. Not by choice. Many were thrown here. Many ran here. I want to tell you a story when I say not by choice. Most people don't know that I don't know why we don't have Stephen on the screen yet, Kyle, but I would like to get Stephen on the screen, and I would like to get his mic on. Michelle, I don't know if you can help me with that, to make that happen, so that Stephen could jump in. Yeah. Most of the Syrian community in Trinidad and Tobago were dropped in Trinidad and Tobago by devious ship owners. You want to go to that seat for me and arrange that, because apparently someone had adjusted the camera, and so you can go on that chair there with that microphone there. Yeah, there we go. Stephen is in, and you could adjust the camera to a height other than playing the guitar. The microphone. Yeah, there you go. Pull it back into you closer so they will hear you. Yeah, most of the Syrian community in Trinidad thought that they were being dropped off in America. Stephen, you know, you could adjust that little circular thing right there and pull the mic closer to you. After you slacken it. Yeah, I think we're going to have to be very creative today in how we do this show. I understand Kyle has the flu as well. So, they're not seeing it yet. I am watching them operating it remotely though. And it's that. Yeah? So, let me test you, bring you in, so you could say your good mornings and your welcomes. I've seen you on this, well, I've not seen you on the screen yet, but I think I've seen you on the screen. So, jump in.
Right. So, good morning to listeners on 919 The Street. I am happy to be here today with Philip, and just to say good morning to those who are Eid Mubarak, to those who are supporting the Eid holiday, and to those who would have supported the Shouter Baptists, or who are in fact Shouter Baptists. I want to say good morning.
How is your holiday going?
Well, my holiday is quiet. I did some work at home yesterday, and I am pretty comfortable today. So I'm on the show today with you, and looking forward to great things.
So, I hope that we have all the little details sorted out, and that when you look at the screen, you see me facing Stephen Matheson and not the two of us back to back as I was seeing it just now. And I understand there'll be some problems as we go through because, as I said, it's a holiday, and most radio stations in Trinidad on holidays are just automated. Nobody actually does a show. So us doing this show live this morning is commitment to cause. And I'd like to thank Michelle and Kyle, working hard behind the scenes to get everything up and running. But there are some things that we need to address, and I want to 8:07, and I want to believe that everything is in the right place right now to go forward. So hear me, right? And Michelle, if you could send me the link so our people could share it, I'd appreciate that too. We have, let me see what we're looking at on the screen. We're looking right. Cool. So we're good to go. Mr. Matheson, I have been following some of the things that the PNM supporters say in support of the PNM. Over the past couple of days, I have been walking in communities in Port Elizabeth, North St. Anne's West, and it is always, if anybody is going to defend the current government, it is always the people in the worst conditions, the people who live in the most deplorable conditions, who you could see they're barely holding on alive. They're one paycheck away from losing everything. And I don't understand what hold the PNM has on them. And I wanted to ask you, as somebody who was in the belly of the PNM beast, to explain to us what exactly, what voodoo, what magic, what science does the PNM deploy to keep suffering people willingly willing to suffer?
Let me just say this. Now, politics is the art of really titillating the imagination of those who are willingly and whose head you could get into to support you. Now, what the PNM has done over the years, it's a kind of psychological thing, is that they have been able to preach to the public and do some things infrastructurally to give the impression that we have given you free education, we have given you free health, we have created a system where everyone in Trinidad and Tobago could feel that, especially the small man, could feel that they have a place and that they have what they need to live as a Trinidadian. What people have realized over the years is that what you have given us is really piecemeal. It is, as a matter of fact, it has outlived its usefulness over the years, because people want to be able to live a normal life like every other Joe, live the kind of life that they would usually see persons or countries that had the kind of resources that we had in Trinidad and Tobago live, as opposed to the massive divide that now engulfs this nation. So you have rich and you have poor. You have people just trying to survive. You have an average minimum wage, or I should say earnings by persons of about $5,000–6,000, which really doesn't allow you to live that kind of life that you need to live. So most people are just trying to get by. And if they're surviving and they're getting by, they will still see the PNM as a viable alternative, because they have been preached to. They have been culturalized to think that the PNM is about poor people, the PNM is about black people, and any other party is either racial or coming to take what the national wealth from them, and you know, that's that kind of thing. So people are feeling that they have a certain kind of patriotic feeling that they should continue supporting the PNM. But really and truly, if you look back to what the PNM has done and what they continue to do, even join up to an election, so you're suffering all the time. And as I on the last show, I would have raised it. I would have said that I would have given you the Stalin, the Joseph Stalin phenomena, where you throw corn for you pull the feathers off the chickens, you have them bleeding, and then when you are ready for them, you throw corn for them and they come running. And that is exactly, in my opinion, there was a guy who sang, I think it was Penguin, who sang the song sometime in the early 80s. He said, "Doggy, doggy, look a bone." After election, all the bone done. Right? The thing is, that is exactly what the PNM do. So all these hairy-fairy things, well, not hairy-fairy things, all these things that they say or they claim to be doing for Trinidad and Tobago, at the end of the day, Trinidadians must ask themselves, in the last 10 years, and the 40, how much years before that, when the PNM was in office, what has they done to change your reality? And are you better off today? And if you are not, then you should probably be trying to give another party an opportunity to do something different. Because as I have said, in my opinion, the PNM have reached diminishing return. They have done things, but they have reached in a place where they can't do anymore. 10 years ago, we still at the same place.
Let me just say, excuse, as I sharing the link to the show on my WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But you continue and listen to you.
10 years ago, we are the same place, and it can't be that after billions of dollars spent, right? Billions of dollars spent on national security, we have more crime than we had in 10 years. We have more murders than we had in 10 years. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute, right? Then maybe you should not. I mean, to say that you're spending, the money you're spending in national security goes more or less into recurrent expenditure, so you can't, you have no new thinking. Then why are you paying these people? If you cannot lead them, if you cannot lead them to do things that is out of the box, if you cannot digitize the economy to the point where crime will be difficult to commit, if you cannot do the things that will make public service easier for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, then give somebody else a chance.
Agreed. But if I may, because this, I want to drill down into what you say. And I want to say it again to the people who just joined us. Stephen Matheson has a unique perspective to share. He was part of the General Council of the People's National Movement for years. And he understands how that operation works. What I don't get, I hear what you're saying, but from a human science point of view, how is it lost on PNM supporters that they don't control nothing in this country other than the PNM? That the only thing
They do say they control the PNM.
Okay, no problem. I'm saying to you, other than the PNM, they don't control any industry. People who had nothing at all. As I said, I was trying to say when we were trying to start up, my Syrian family didn't leave Syria and Lebanon to come to Trinidad and Tobago. Nobody did. They was going to America. And the boat captain that they pay, drop them in Trinidad and tell them they're in America. And poor souls, they know.
But I look at the Guyanese.
No, but I'm telling you this, wait, I want to tell you this. You're coming back to your Guyanese, just take one little pin. And with nothing but the clothes on their back and a little bundle, they step off that ship into Trinidad and Tobago. At that time, underdeveloped, there was nothing. And had to make a life.
Sometimes challenge and adversity make people stronger.
But when Anthony Bourdain interviewed some very wealthy Syrians. You talking about in as short a span as about 100 years, they went from nothing but the clothes on their back to controlling large cross-sections of the economy. Now, a lot of it was done in questionable ways.
To controlling everything.
In questionable ways. But how is that lost on the PNM supporters who were, for all intents and purposes, here first? I mean, besides the plantation owners, right? If you're talking strictly race, Afro-Trinbagonians were here first, after the white plantation owners. And anybody who know the history of the country would understand what I'm saying.
What they have done over the years, in my opinion, the PNM, is they have fed the people with more illusions than reality. So people have grown to expect just the bare minimum to survive, to live. Dude, URP, all these
Why?
programs and that kind of thing. And they have rest on the land. So they have not seen themselves developing any further than that, and they have left it for the other persons who are willing to work harder to do so. Right?
I want to interrupt you there. It can't be hard work. It can't be hard work. I tell you something. But listen, my son's grandfather lived in Fairways. Now, I didn't live in Fairways. There was a time when we weren't together, me and his mother. So I'd go and pick him up every day at 4 o'clock. And I used to watch something, the entrance to La Ceiba, that Fairways entrance to La Ceiba. I used to watch that long road into Fairways, and I used to call it the maid parade. Because at 4 o'clock, I'd see all these women of color walking out of Fairways, having just taken care of the families and the homes of all these people who live in Fairways, walking out of Fairways to go back home. When you tell me it's hard work, any tanty and granny of color in this country should be a billionaire today if hard work is what made you money. When I look at the contract that Unicom get to put down a 1-inch skim of concrete that they stamped to look like something on Arapita Avenue sidewalks, it's masons of Afro-Trinbagonian descent who actually do the work. So it's not hard work. In Trinidad, it is who control the treasury, who control the contracts, who control the money at the top. I asked when they were doing that, if I watching these small black contractors actually doing the work, why the PNM, who gave out the contract to Unicom, why the PNM, if it cared about black people, why it didn't give out the contracts in, say, 3 blocks? I'm asking.
I understand what you're saying.
Why they not seeing that?
I understand what you're saying. What I'm trying to tell you, is a kind of psychology. So, if we are able to control the minds of those that we could control, we'd be able to do anything with them and have them do anything for us. Now, the thing is, let me give you an example. If I, as a consultant, a white consultant from somewhere in Europe or in America, and I come to bid on something in Trinidad, I will quicker get it than a black man who probably have more education than that white man. Because we have, over the years, we have culturalized ourselves to believe that the white man or the person who does not look like us, for some reason, is better than us. And that pervades even in government all over.
Do you have an explanation as to how that brainwash took place?
Well, you know how you asking answers. You know how it took place.
Well, I know colonialism. You ever saw the show Chris Rock did called Good Hair? Chris Rock did a documentary called Good Hair. And it's about how people of color raise their children to marry somebody with good hair.
Yes.
And it's why weaves sell.
Yes.
And it is an identity, it is a disconnect from identity where you abhor who you are. That's what they convince them to be. Straight out of slavery into colonialism. During the times of the colonial master, white people controlled everything.
Correct.
So if you wanted anything,
You had to be looking like them.
you had to look like them, your children had to look like them, you had
try
to
to song like them.
you had to marry them, you had to get involved with them, you had to do whatever you could.
Correct.
Eric Williams in 1962. Now I read the list of people that actually got us independence. Chief among them, and this man who died quietly, didn't want no fanfare, was the most powerful attorney this country has ever had. A fellow by the name of Tajmol Hussain. Now my son's grandfather was Zainul Hussain, God rest his soul. Zainul Hussain was Tajmol's little brother. But Tajmol Hussain, Zainul Hussain went on to be an appeal court judge, and so he was a very successful attorney in his own right. But Tajmol Hussain, when you go and look at a lot of the big companies in this country, the history in the bedrock of this country, he was the company secretary that set up Express newspaper and a lot of stuff, right? He was the man when all of these people were negotiating with the Queen for independence. He was the man who was actually writing the documents that our independence built on. Yeah, we hear names like Ellis Clark and stuff, but it was Tajmol Hussain. And those who know our history again would know that. And I wanted to say that at the point in time that they went to negotiate independence for Trinidad and Tobago, what happened on August 31st, 1962, when they lowered the Union Jack and raised the red, white, and black? Nothing behind the scenes where those who control the treasury and the power in this country, nothing changed.
Nothing changed. And that's unfortunate. But I was making a point. You were asking how black people or how PNM supporters remain in the same,
Indoctrination.
yes. When we look at even the Ghanis who came here under circumstances that they felt that was bad in Guyana 10, 15 years ago, check most of them, what they do today. They come to set up business in Trinidad. They're on Charlotte Street, hairdressers, business, all over.
You're making the point, eh?
And but
You know the point you're making? I tell you what's the point you're making. Anybody who was not dependent on the PNM
right,
succeeded.
But the thing is, today a lot of people will tell themselves that, to get by, to get the kind of prominence they want, to get the kind of job they want, to, go to university, do an MBA, that kind of thing. But they will go to university, do MBAs, masters, and, all kind of thing. And they would come out and they'll still be looking for a job paying them $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. To me, that's another definition of craziness. Because if you...
Kwame Tori said that. Trinidadian Kwame Tori said, if you go in university to get an education, to look for a job, you're still a slave.
Exactly.
You're still a slave. You're looking for somebody to pay your bills.
An MBA and looking for a job, you should be creating jobs.
Okay, so if you say you should be creating jobs, right? Push the door of the bank that's controlled by the lodge. Again, we're coming back to the money. And this is what I want PNM supporters to hear. The people who control the money is the people who say, yes, you will get the financing to do that business. Every single business in this country. I watch Mario Sabga Aboud build his Pizza Boys empire. I watch them build in the West, in Glencoe. They would build barbecue restaurant. It failed in 6 months. They mash it down. They build up a next one. Those things cost money. It costs money to be able to open a business. If it fails, if you buy a business and it fails, you could shut it down, start the next one. Money. When you start up a business like a fast food franchise, there is a point where the public buys in, and the amount of sales that you do, gives you profit in excess of the cost of doing business. And until then, you need to have money to fund the business. So it's not just, I have $1 million to start up the business. Because the business costs $100,000 a month to run. You have food to throw away.
Exactly.
You have food that you're making tonight that new, but you throw it away until people catch up to your business. I'm saying, where do the PNM supporters go with their business idea to get finance?
That brings me to another question. Now, recently I was reading about the African Exim Bank. And that bank would give citizens that same kind of seed fund to be able to do that. That's an African-based bank. And that bank was trying to get into Trinidad and Tobago. You know the government say no for black people. And I'm thinking, if, say, I am sure, if that opportunity was given to a party like the UNC that allowed that to happen.
What transformed the people of the cane to go from barefoot, cutlass-wielding laborers to be the dominant people, doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects are all?
Because of vision.
But it's not just vision.
When we were going to school, when we were going to school as young people, black people, I remember in my time, you had a good example. You had Converse, you had Pro-Keds.
Batter bullets.
And you had batter bullets.
And you
would see an East Indian with a batter bullet.
Stamping 17 everywhere they walk, right? I had my bullets.
And that same East Indian today, right?
Bruno Mali.
Would be the doctor.
Wearing Bruno Mali shoes. $3,000 shoes, yes.
Right? But our parents, struggling, would fight up, and we, in our minds.
Brands.
A brand says something. The man who making that brand everywhere in that.
And
because it's just a brand, right? But we will spend $5,000 on a Nike that could do nothing for us.
So that goes back to identity. That goes back to identity. Because Michael Jordan is one of the wealthiest black men in the world. And he shop at Payless for his shoes. He's the man that sells more shoes than anybody else with his Air Jordans. Air Jordans.
I prefer to shop by Rattan because I will save my money and I still wearing something.
There's a saying. The people who are poor stay poor trying to appear rich.
Exactly.
And the people who rich stay rich shopping poor.
Trying to appear poor.
They're shopping poor. It's the wealthiest people, and I observe this, that will walk in the store and buy from the banded section, from the close to the expiry date section, and make that sacrifice. Still, you're so inculcated to spend that money carefully and wisely. Now that you're $100 millionaire, you're still doing it because it's in your mind.
That's what got you there. That's what got you there. So I say all the time, if you want to get wealthy or be successful, you need to do the things successful people do to get successful, to become successful all the time. That should be a motto. Study them. Understand what they do.
Success leaves clues.
Yes. Understand what they do. And what they do certainly is not what you're doing. If you remain in the same way, and success is
but let's go back to the vote. Let's go back to the vote because PNM supporters need to understand what you just said about the African bank that was trying to come and help people of Afro descent in Trinidad. Because this is a country that this fellow Devon Maraj, the only reason people know Devon Maraj is because Devon used to be in charge of an organization called the Global Organization of People of Indian Origin, GOPIO. And then when he fell out of GOPIO, they formed another one. And I can't remember what the name is. But like every other race in this country, the Syrian-Lebanese organization is a business. The Chinese Association, there's a business. They have a grocery now called Mandarin. I see it yesterday because I walk in Paulus Bay North. The Portuguese have the Portuguese Association. What broke community? What broke strength? When you see an Afro-Trinbagonian set up a business. I mean, when you see a Syrian-owned business, Syrians shop there. Syrians give them their money.
And that is what you're saying there resonates. Because for some reason, African or Afro-Trinidadians don't support Afro-Trinidadians.
Is that identity?
And it has to do with the same thing, the same hair thing,
So-
everything.
so-
So an Afro-Trinidadian will prefer to go in a next man shop who doesn't look like him because he feels that that person is doing something better than what his own Afro-Trinidadian looking person is doing. And that to me is unfortunate. And
where is the leadership? That is a function of leadership. Now that the PNM has put a wealthy Chinese man as its leader, what does the average Afro-Trinbagonian PNM supporter that thought that they own the PNM, when they look at Stuart Young, do they see oppressor? Do they see somebody better than them? Or is this crapo in a balize tie?
I don't think they should see either. Right?
Crapo in a balize tie. I want to ask you this because at some point you have to weigh all of the PNM leaders against people like Satmaraj. Now Satmaraj is a fella like Donald Trump, not easy to like. But look at the body of work and tell me, when you look at history, the Chinese emperor that united China, because China was a million feudal states, and he created a policy called One China, where they literally rode across China. When they came to your community, you join One China or they burn your community to the ground. That was disgusting then.
Well, Trinidad and Tobago is a kind of melting pot society. Is a cosmopolitan society. So we can't advocate that same kind of thing in Trinidad. What we should think about is Trinidad.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying.
I just want to finish the point. That somebody had a vision. Somebody said, this is where China is now, and this is where China going to go.
Right.
Somebody had a vision for the Syrian community in Trinidad. A bunch of catch-ass people. They own nothing. They're walking around barefoot, in raggedy clothes, smelling stink. They ain't bathed for weeks, sleeping below people's car, sleeping on their porch, trying to sell them little piece of cloth, writing it down on a piece of brown paper bag. This is the history of Syrians in Trinidad.
Right.
Vending on the side of the road. When people laugh at the vendors outside on the side of the road. That's the history of Syrians in Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody had a vision for them, to unite them, and to say, look, all are we in the same stinking mess. Let me pool our resources and see where we're going.
Right.
And I'm asking you, Satmaraj had a vision. Hate him how much you want. Satmaraj had a vision to move East Indian Trinbagonians from cutting cane barefoot to being doctors and lawyers and architects, and to get them into government.
I'm saying to you that I like where you're going. However, we cannot we cannot look at it like that.
From the Afro-Trinbagonian point of
From
view?
the Afro-Trinbagonian, we had to look at things from a more nationalist perspective. Meaning, every East Indian, every Syrian, Trinidad Syrian, every African, everybody, we are one, right? And we have to develop Trinidad and Tobago like that, like one people, because we are cosmopolitan. The thing is...
But that is not a reality. But that's not a reality for Afro-Trinidad.
To finish. What we need to do, however, we need to understand the African perspective, understand the position they are in, and put more infrastructure, like the bank I was telling you about, the African Exim Bank, and these kind of these places.
But with an abundance of respect, I'm saying to you, Afro-Trinbagonians have been left behind. They are not in the national conversation.
Correct.
They are not generating wealth. And the irony is that Afro-Trinbagonians spend billions of dollars into this economy every year. If it wasn't for Afro-Trinbagonians spending money, I'm telling you this, my grandfather, Elias Alexander, had Elias Man Shop on Independence Square, and he had some stuff. Elias, that was his store on Independence Square, right in the shadow of the cathedral. And any race walk through that door, any race, white, Indian, Chinese, Douglas, anybody come through that door, he will let the staff attend to them. But if a black man walk through that door, especially if it is close to mountain, and he know that he get paid, my grandfather attend to that man personally, because he will appeal to his pride that you spoke of earlier, with the brand and the fashion more important than the money in his pocket, and sell him everything he have. And you need to have a conversation again about where is the leadership to tell black Trinbagonians that the money they spend every month in a year, if they pool it, they could buy Ansa Macal.
Correct.
They could buy Carib, they could buy Tatil, they could buy Guardian, they could buy Sagicor. The money, 485,000 Afro-Trinbagonians, and they are the least paid. They have no savings. Check the statistics. They have none. They spend
paycheck to paycheck.
They spend their money.
All the money they spend it.
But if, and I want to tell you again, I want to keep bringing up this Indian man who worked for Saloom in Lebanese house, who for 30 years, his wife would send him to work with his sada roti, pumpkin sada roti and egg, sada roti and tomato. And he had this one sweet drink bottle that he would walk down the road with his 21 cents and put in the sweet drink bottle to get a refund to get a sweet drink that he drank with his sada roti. He said, Mr. Philip, that put my children through university. How do you get Afro-Trinbagonians to realize that the PNM is not leading them somewhere good? That the URP and the CPEP and the 10 days life they have them living, just have them hanging on a thread for HDC house. Look at HDC. The average HDC house that is sold to people for $1 million. So you are now a slave to that bill. It ain't cost 100,000 a bill. So it ain't cost 100,000 a bill. But they pay 500,000 to build it, so somebody make a money. The people who do the work to build the house, what race are they?
Correct. They don't look like us.
How do Afro-Trinbagonians not get that they own no industry? They don't even own their culture. They don't own Carnival. Carnival has been taken away from Afro-Trinbagonians. Every Carnival time, the National Carnival Commission to spend the dog money on send two fellas in big hats and say, look, Midnight Rubber, pay some people to walk on stilts and say, look, Boko Jambi. But the actual money in Carnival, St. Mary's College Fete, makes more profit than all the parlor around the savannah together for the whole Carnival. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that every single urban cultural radio station that plays music for African people to sell them tickets to Buju Banton Fete, 94.1, 96.1, are not owned by Afro-Trinbagonians. How do they not get that when Ken Gordon in 1986 became a minister under the NAR and broke up the monopoly on radio station licenses and freed up licenses, all the licenses that went to people of Afro-Trinbagonian descent, culture radio, this kind of radio, that kind of radio, all of those radio stations have been sold and acquired by people who are not of Afro-Trinbagonian descent.
Right. So they own the narrative, they own everything.
Synergy TV that is aimed at Afro-Trinbagonians was built by a fellow called Peter C. Lewis, who was a member of Ecstatic with Machel Montano.
I remember that.
Is now owned by people like Chinley and Stuart Young. The Chinese community in Trinidad owns Afro-Trinbagonian culture. Johnny Soong, Tony Chowlinon, Lindsay Gillette, these are the people that own Boom Champions and WEFM with Energy for Music, Ojo, all that. They're not owned by black people. But it is black money that pays their bills. How it is, and I swear to you, because I honestly believe that there is a chapter in Trinidad that needs to be written. And it's not about color, because when you go to Tobago, you realize Tobagonians, a Tobagonian will walk down the road with 2 different color slippers, but he own his house.
Correct.
He own a guest house, he own a small, he have a car, he walking down the road because he rent out his car. And when he make up enough money, he buying a next car to rent out. Before you know it, boom, boom, boom. He have 5 cars, 6 cars.
So it's not...
It's not color.
And it's not a black people thing.
It's not a black people thing. It is what was done to Afro-Trinbagonians in Trinidad.
By the PNM.
By the PNM.
Correct.
Come to that point.
That is exactly...
Because yesterday I woke up...
Break it down nicely.
Boss man.
It is exactly that. It is exactly that. And when I said that, they use psychology to tell us that they own us, they give us everything. You hear people, when we talk about voting for another party, no, I'm not voting for them, I don't see them voting for we PNM give you everything, we have free education, we have free this, we have free that. That freeness you're talking about did nothing for you because you're not free to think.
Where is the education? Let's talk about that. Before Eric Williams interfered with the education system in Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad had the highest standard of education in the Western world. I remember as a boy in St. Mary's College, I used to hear about people leaving Trinidad to go away in the 80s when we had the massive exodus from Trinidad of people of high color that left because they thought Trinidad was over. They would leave Trinidad Form 1 and go into America the equivalent of Form 3. Because when they tested them, we were still so high up. The junior secondary, senior comprehensive insanity that Eric Williams created. What was the bang for that buck? Besides babysitting, besides somewhere for you to park your children for 8 hours, because, and I want people to hear me, that's not the purpose of education. The best years of a child's life, the first 7 years of a child's life, Finland recognized, and Finland has the highest standard of education in the world. In Finland's standard of education is so high, the next 4 behind Finland, though even total, the success of Finland's education.
South Korea. And
Finland is so strong on this that the first 7 years, Japan is also in this model. That the first 7 years of a child's life, you're not supposed to be putting nonsense in their head. You're not supposed to...
playing and building things, creative thinking, you know. That's what you're trying to create in the first early years.
You're teaching them how to be a functional member of society. And you're giving them the opportunity to find the tools. All of those neurons that fire in a child's brain. You want to give them chances to find who they are, what they're predisposed to. In Finland, Japan, China now, in their countries where they're planning their vision for their country is 25 years down the road, one young lifetime. How do I get the young people being born today to being world-dominating leaders in 25 years?
You know, that is so, education system is so serious a thing for the development of your people. We don't even understand that. So, what we have in Trinidad and Tobago is a kind of copycat thing. So, we're trying to copy a person with a master's degree in Trinidad and Tobago could never be the same person with that master's in the system that you speak of. Because what we do in Trinidad and Tobago to a large extent is we read books written not by us, regurgitate information that we sit along. Sometimes you see people planning, they're studying the whole night, they're cramming the whole night before exam, regurgitate to pass an exam, and then you don't know how to functionalize what you learn. You don't even understand how to critically think.
But what is the curriculum in Trinidad based on? In other countries, and I want to tell this guy, study this well. I could tell you in Trinidad and Tobago, if I was in charge of the government tomorrow, I would go to St. Andrews and St. Monica's and Don Ross and Maria Regina, and I would take their principles, the principles of those schools, and form a board. I don't want a minister of education. I want a ministry of education. And I'll form a board, and I will ask these, mostly women, they're all women, fix the education system in Trinidad. Let's get, what do we need to get for everybody? what the children of Westmoreland and Fairways and Sinclair getting. Because what they're getting in their education system is not the same. And we talk about the extracurricular activities, and that's important. What happens to the children of Westmoreland and Fairways and Gulfview and Valsayn when school done? They go to ballet, they go to gymnastics, they go to piano and other music lessons, they go to football camps every day. They have stuff to do with their time. They're not going home, mommy not here, they have a paper on the fridge, heat this up in the microwave, turn on Synergy TV.
It's not even that. It's worse than that.
It's worse than that. And I'm saying to the people of the PNM,
mommy fighting up in KFC to earn a living to send you to school.
But
the next
brother,
day, and she don't know what you're doing when she reach home because she's a single
and
parent.
because of that,
And
so the
it's
children
just
not getting,
craziness.
but so in their minds they're not getting raised. They're not getting raised. They're growing up, but they're growing up in a house, but they're not being raised. They're not being taught values. They're not being taught this is who you want to be. Where is the education system of Trinidad and Tobago? Where is the plan for the people? As I was telling you earlier, you ought to have a 25-year vision for your people. You ought to see starting right now, all the children that are 3 years old right now, in 22 years, they'll be 25.
China reached where they are today because they had been planning this 40 years ago.
It's called what?
Exactly what they
Yes.
and exactly what they planned.
They
As
had
a matter of fact,
they had a 1,000-year plan.
It completed before,
Boss man, they had a 1,000-year plan.
right?
The
So
government
after
of
the years of humiliation,
yeah, but the government of India, and they could tell you that in 25 years, more than 50% of the people of this world will be working for a company that is an Indian company.
correct.
When you look at all of the CEOs of the most important companies in the world, they're all people of East Indian descent. 30 years ago, the vision, see what I'm trying to tell you? 30 years ago, the vision, India said, you know what? Computers and information technology is going to dominate the world. We are going to play a part in that.
Yes. As
So
a
they
matter of
used
fact,
to,
we will master it.
they laughed at them. When you used to have Lotus 123 and Microsoft PowerPoint and thing, and you calling for support. Excuse me, I
Is
have
that
the
East
flu.
Indian answer on the
And they laughing.
in India?
Comedians making jokes about them, right? But check what happened. Over the years, more and more of the patterns, more and more of these information systems started to shift towards where the people were being educated. Look at where we are now. There's a second major tectonic shift in information technology called artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence requires two things.
Information.
But it requires two things. Massive memory and a lot of electricity. When we talk blockchain technology and we're talking about mining cryptocurrency, those things generate a lot of heat. They take a lot of electricity. 65% of the electricity that Trinidad produces right now is wasted. The people pay for it, but it goes nowhere. Why haven't we taken the E-Tech that we spent $500 million, the E-Tech park up in Wallerfield that nature is reclaiming? Because I'm hearing Stuart Young and them talking my policies and PEP policies, and I hear them talking about shipping industry. And when Trinidadians hear shipping industry will save Trinidad and Tobago, they will remember that it is Philip Alexander has been telling them that for donkey years that Singapore and Dubai built their fortunes, built their countries on being service to the world. Why are we not talking to Donald Trump and Elon Musk? Why is there, instead of us fighting to dance with Maduro, why are we not talking to people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk about how can Trinidad serve your intentions so that we can have a 25-year vision for our people? Why aren't we converting in a country that has summer 24/7? Why aren't we converting E-Tech and the other places into artificial intelligence banks? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we working? Why aren't we working with the companies in the world? There is a saying, you don't plan to come into the industry where you are today. You have to be able to know and see where the industry will be 20 years from now, and you have to enter the industry then. That is what shut down, what was it phone before iPhone?
Nokia?
No, the first one that had the keypad. That Obama said you couldn't take away from him. Oh God, WhatsApp is a copy of that thing.
Oh, BlackBerry.
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
God. BlackBerry was the dominant force in intelligent phones. And BlackBerry made one fatal mistake. Apple started to plan where they were going to come into the industry, and it left BlackBerry behind. And BlackBerry did not do their due diligence. And by the time they realized that the whole industry was changing around them, for them to create a smartphone, because they had what was a smartphone before, but it was nothing like this touchscreen thing that Apple put out. And when they tried to respond, BlackBerry went from $400 a share to under $1. Destroy the company. You have to have a plan.
I have a plan.
Your tertiary education needs to be predicated on. At 8:55, our ad will come on. Watch your right-hand side again. Information. Yeah, Michelle, I'm getting the information. I just want to say this before I go. That for the people or the children of the future, you need to know where the country going to be 20 years from now. Tailor your tertiary education to that. Your university education. You want to get them free education. Give anybody free education who want to work in those industries that you know Trinidad going to be 20 years from now.
I know Manning was kind of trying to dovetail the system into something like that. But for some reason, it didn't work. And it ended up being an expansive money grab where education is concerned. So everybody wanted.
And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to money.
Yes.
And we had to wrap up now because we're running out of time, and I'm apologizing for that because the phone's ringing off the hook and people want to be in the conversation, and we were supposed to start the 2-hour thing today, but they want to stick up in and come back at it and start at 7 to 9, so we're apologizing for that. Stephen, I want you to give your closing comments.
Yeah, so Trinidad and Tobago really need to start thinking. As a matter of fact, black people need to start to think and ask themselves one question. If 10 years ago things haven't really changed for you, then you need to do something different.
Indeed. You're quoting the Chinese again, you know. The Chinese say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant it is now. You are supposed to be able to vote yourself a better country. That's what we're talking about. Vote yourself a better country. And the only hope, and when you're looking at what Kamala Prasad Bisesa is assembling, because you're talking about national security, what's running with Johnny Abraham? This fella, Roger Alexander, is now a candidate for Tunapuna. She assembling. Anything that you tell her is the problem, she assembling the right people for the job. I want to say to Trinidad and Tobago that we are going to be having these conversations every day. On April 28th, you are going to have an opportunity to rescue Trinidad and Tobago from the madness of this visionless, heartless, careless, corrupt, incompetent, crashed PNM. Don't waste the opportunity. The next 5 years of your life will be spent regretting. Until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
Come out in your numbers. We go fix it. We go fix it. PEP go fix it. No jobs, no safety, no water, no justice, no accountability, bad roads, corrupt politicians, no more. We're going and fix it. It's time.
By PEP, Progressive Empowerment Party. Save TNT, vote PEP.
Save TNT, vote PEP.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
10 years ago, we had hope. We had opportunity. We had a future we could believe in. But look at where we are now. Under the PNM, we've lost Petrotrin. We've lost over 60,000 jobs. $3 billion missing. And the worst loss of all, more than 5,000 loved ones murdered. They told us be patient, tighten our belts, things will get better. 10 years later and nothing, while a select few took everything.
The next 5 years has to be different. This election is about returning power to the people so you can win again. And winning starts with you. When UNC wins, everybody wins.
You're occupying a home and need documents of your own. Come in, come in, come in. Paperwork could help you find peace, so secure your HTC lease. Come in, come in, come in. They're regularizing, so start organizing to visit the HTC. Don't waste no time, hurry over online. Benefit from the amnesty, handle it skillfully.
Get regularized now. Visit hdc.gov.tt, click on the Forms tab, then scroll to the Rental Regularization Transfer Form and fill out the required information. You can also WhatsApp 325-2578 or 328-6013 to access the forms. More information can be found on our website. Be at peace. Get your HDC lease.
As the call to prayer echoes across the sky, hands adorned in henna speak their own language of faith and celebration. Eid is a time when sacrifice meets celebration, when the self-restraint of Ramadan served as your symbols of love, duty, and hopeful beginnings. At TTMB, we celebrate this season of care and tradition, and we're here to help you draw the path ahead so you can own your future one dream at a time. Eid Mubarak from Trinidad and Tobago Mortgage Bank. TTMB, own your future.
Come party.
Hey, what's up? This is your boy Major Hype, and guess what? It's all about Tobago. We're getting ready for Tobago. That's right, it all takes place in Tobago, Scarborough, Pigeon Point. Everybody come out, let me have a good time and let me enjoy ourselves now, man. It's all about comedy and party. It's gonna be a crazy. Man, you see that what I can't take with all you. All right, let me do this. Listen, it's not a party, it's party. Let's have a party. You don't listen. You can't win everything, brother. The teeth in me right through, but it's okay.
Comedy Party, Friday, 18th April, Fairways Tobago Plantation, featuring Caribbean King of Comedy, Major Hype and Friends. Friday, 18th April. Get your tickets at Cachet stores nationwide, Fairways Restaurant and the Lounge Plantation, Jenny's on the Boulevard, all E-Clip Eli locations, and online at islandetickets.com. Comedy show and party with all the top DJs.
Comedy and party. Have a party. We're gonna have a party after the comedy.
Sponsored by Cachet, top-ranking guest house and tours, and Jenny's on the Boulevard.
For general elections Monday, 28 April 2025, the Tobago People's Party, the TPP, is the only choice.
If the THA had the powers, then our public servants in Tobago will not be working on 2013 salaries. They are going to the parliament to treat with that.
If you voting in the East, vote for David Thomas. If you voting in the West, put your X next to Joel Sampson.
They are going there to ensure that we can finally, through the autonomy bills for Tobago, ensure that Tobagonians have more control over the public service.